Hey guys, tonight we are going to give you some royal gossip. We're going to chat about the royal family, specifically, mainly about Harry and Meghan and the Family Guy episode. The Family Guy episode, this is the second time they've had sort of like a spoof, a parody, some satire on them, wondering if they are amused or not. But this time the Family Guy went all out to make fun of them again. And we're kind of wondering, like, how long can this last? Like, how often are they going to be teased, made fun of? Why do they keep giving people material, right? So, although on the other hand, they do say that, imitation is the best form of flattery, so maybe they're being flattered. So welcome everybody. I am Deanna here from Hot for History, and I'm very excited for you to come and be on our lives. We show up here Monday nights where we can talk about the royal family, where we can talk a little bit of royal news. Please do subscribe, share with your friends. Let me know where you're from, and we will then dive right into it, mainly this, because this was pretty interesting and pretty fun. Hey guys, welcome from the UK. I see you're from here from Florida, from Illinois, from Las Vegas. Let's get ready for the madness with her badness. Thank you, her royal badness. Yes, how are things in the royal part of Las Vegas? Okay, I'm going to dive into this a little bit. I'm going to kind of read an article that kind of tells you what went down with this. Did you guys see this? Did you see this? Hey, from Rhode Island, and from Tampa. Don't you just love the fall in Florida? It was slightly chilly the other day, meaning hardly at all. Okay, so I'm going to read from Fredericksburg. I would love to go there. I need to take a trip there to sort of trace down my family history a little bit more. Fair to Midland in Las Vegas. I bet Fredericksburg is getting a little chilly. You probably get to wear your boots and your flannel and all of that. A little bit jealous here. Okay, so I'm going to sort of dive into this. Did you guys see this? Let me know. And then if there's any other royal news or anything, I would love to hear about. I know we don't have any colors here in Florida. It's just all green and blue, meaning the blue pools and the blue sky and the, all of that. Not bad. I'm not going to lie. I kind of miss the fall. I miss being able to see the fall. Okay. Movie David. I would love to hear. You probably do some movie reviews. I would love to hear about that. Okay. Anyhow, I'm just going to read this. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the royal targets of Family Guy's latest hilarious episode. It's simple. I saw it, but it was so fun and funny. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, have become the targets of a new animated satire for adults with the Family Guy. The hilarious show, which is known for its irreverent humor and pop culture references, has made fun of the couple's life after leaving the British royal family. What now? We're now here on what's that? Okay, that's an ad. Sorry. I got distracted because I got a notification. So I was looking over there to see if you guys had something to say, and then I started to read the ad. So anyhow, but they're kind of going on and on about what this was. So what happens is they're sitting by the pool, as we know, and just kind of lounging around. And then this guy, this butler, totally dressed in a tux, which, obviously you're not going to see. Well, you might see in some parts of Los Angeles, or Montecito. And the guy comes up to him and he's like, hey, here's your checks or whatever. And he's like, oh, so here are your millions from Netflix for no apparent reason, which really is funny. And then Harry goes, oh, add it to the others, echoing his wife's words. The satirical take doesn't stop there. In a subsequent scene, Meghan Markle in the animated series is seen putting away her smartphone and discussing her daily Instagram posts with her husband. She mentions that they will be paid a staggering $250,000 for promoting Del Taco, a fast food chain. Darling, it's time to make our daily Instagram post for which we will be paid $250,000 for Del Taco. The Duke of Sussex looks unhappy and says, I should never have thrown away around made up I should never have thrown around made up nonsense. I don't think that's exactly what he's saying. But anyhow, so the show is mocking them. And I want to know what you guys think. Like, this is the second time. Obviously, we know that we had, we had them do the South Park thing, which was crazy, but that's been a while. It's been several months. And now they're still like kind of losing favor, I think, in the States. However, some people would consider this a compliment, even though it's tacky. What do you think? Do you think that it's warranted or what? And did you think it was funny? I didn't watch the whole episode. I need to go back and see the whole episode because I think it's going to be kind of funny. So I'm curious about that. I've been thinking a lot about Meghan and her friend circle, and like even her dad. I was reading about her dad today again because it really just I feel like it's so heartbreaking that Meghan and Harry are estranged from the king and from Thomas Markle. And granted, I know, he's neither one of them are perfect, right? But neither are Harry and Meghan. So it's just sad to me that they're estranged. But then what's also an indication, which I always learned about narcissists, is that even their friend group is like, they kind of come and go. It's like she's kind of friends with people for a hot minute and then it changes. I do know as you get older and you're kind of more tight with your family, like your immediate family, maybe you're not all over the place, but curious because she was so tight with Jessica Mulroney. But then the criticism here is that she wanted to be friends with Jessica, mainly just to figure out how to get to Harry, or at least to a rich royal, right? Or something. She wanted somebody in England. She liked British guys. And so word on the street was that she asked her friend, hey, do you know anybody? So let's read about this. So Meghan Mulroney, I don't know if you guys know this, but she's married to Ben Mulroney, who is the son of ex-Canadian Prime Minister. The Duke and Duchess has long maintained that she knew very little of the royal family before meeting Prince Harry, but now it's emerged that one of her closest friends could perhaps have helped her with a few pointers. So Meghan and her former BFF, Jessica Mulroney, were once inseparable after meeting on a showbiz scene in Toronto. In fact, they were so close that Meghan FaceTimed the stylist and presenter just before Prince Harry proposed to her. Now Jessica, who's married to Ben Mulroney, son of the former Canadian Prime Minister Brian Mulroney, has taken the opportunity to remind fans of her family's other brushes with royalty. In other words, her family had connections before she met Meghan. In fact, that may have been the reason why Meghan became her friend. She took to her Instagram story to share a snap of Ben and his wife Neela hosting Prince Charles and Princess Diana on an official visit to Ottawa back in 1990s. What's more, Brian and Neela also hosted the late Queen Elizabeth in 1987 at a Commonwealth meeting during the official tour of Canada, while Jessica's husband Ben also attended a dinner with the monarch as a child. So Meghan famously said that royal protocol was a mystery to her and that she was baffled by having to curtsy to the late Queen Elizabeth at the first meeting. Meanwhile, Harry wrote in his explosive memoir, Swear, that Meghan definitely hadn't Googled the royal family. Do you need to Google the royal family to like basically know like what their deal is? I mean, you don't need to Google it. Like you know. So especially for somebody who had been in England when she was younger and had made all these like princess comments or whatever, I can't imagine her not knowing. I mean, everybody knows that you curtsy when you see the queen, and it may feel weird and funny like at first, but you just kind of do it. It's like, I don't know, you learn different handshakes if you go to different countries. And by the way, Meghan, you don't walk on the red carpet if there's a country that doesn't allow you to walk on the red carpet. Anyhow, so it seems Meghan never asked her former BFF, Jessica Mulroney, to tap up her in-laws for the inside track. The pair have since drifted apart after Jessica became involved with a quote-unquote white privilege row on social media that saw her lose her illustrious gig at Good Morning America and be cut off of Canadian TV. After a fan account shared photos of the former Prime Minister and First Lady with Charles and Diana in the early 1990s, stylist and mother of three Jessica reposted the snaps and said, love this. So she's basically reminding us all that, look, I had these connections before. Okay. Anyhow, so I'm just curious because I have a feeling like from Harry's book and certain things we're reading, like how much of Meghan meeting Harry was like manipulated? Like how much of that was manipulated? And even if it was manipulated, is that bad? Like, in other words, maybe she wanted to meet him. Maybe she pulled some strings to meet him or a guy like that. And is that really that bad? Honestly, maybe that just means that she's motivated and she saw what she wanted and she wanted to check him out. And so she pulled some strings to, find him. Like maybe it's not all that bad, but I'm just curious. And then I'm also curious with why, according to what we know, like number one, we don't see, they haven't reconciled things with parents on either side or extended family on either side. The friends thing hasn't seemed to be reconciled. They just seem to keep things really tight, which again, isn't that bad if that's what they want. So it's hard to analyze. Like, what do we know? We're just gossiping here. Called Princess Annette and her private talks to her. So she called her. Okay, I'm probably not following this. Okay, so the late monarch was pictured with the former Canadian minister. Okay, speaking in the news, he paid tribute to her saying, I remember one Sunday night when she was coming to Canada and we planned a small dinner for her. This is following the death of Her Majesty. This is Brian Mulroney remembering the Queen. She conveyed to her private secretary that the kids should be there as well. So the Queen wanted Brian Mulroney and the kid to bring the kids. The former prime minister described how he and his wife, children, Jessica's husband Ben, dined with Her late Majesty that evening. The connection is not the only time doubt has been cast on Meghan's claims she knew nothing of the royal family before meeting Harry. So this article is insinuating that, she was close to Jessica too. She should have known about the royal family rather than acting like she didn't. She used who they called Princess Annette friends, whom she was writing books and films with. Oh, okay. There you go. Thank you. Whom she was writing books, films, and whatnot to get him. Okay. So and then it says the entry from 2014, which was written by Meghan during her time in Suits, revealed that she dreamt of being a royal rebel rather than a Cinderella as a child, as she reflected on the pomp and circumstance and endless conversation about Kate and William's royal wedding. So she wanted to be a royal wedding. The post suggests that she not only knew exactly who the royals were, but that she'd also formed several very strong opinions about the monarchy and its many traditions years before she met Harry. Little girls dream of being princesses, Meghan wrote in the post before insisting, I, for one, was all about the She-Ra, Princess of Power. For those of you unfamiliar with a 1980s cartoon reference, She-Ra is a twin sister of He-Man and a sword-wielding royal rebel. We're definitely not talking about Cinderella here. Okay, I'm very sensitive to Cinderella bashing, just saying, because I've done a whole study on Cinderella. She's somebody who came out of the ashes. No, there's a lot of strength from Cinderella if you go deep. Just saying. Anyhow, she continued by noting that many adult women seem to carry on their childhood fantasy of becoming a princess before making a rather scathing nod to the public fascination and intrigue surrounding William and Kate's 2011 nuptials. Grown women seem to retain this childhood fantasy, she wrote. Just look at the pomp and circumstance surrounding the wedding of Princess Kate. So anyhow, so what they're saying is that Meghan, in this article, is that she's hypocritical and that she's lying. Because what they're trying to get at is that, listen, she's making these comments about how, I knew nothing about the royal family. And simultaneously, they have documentation from years prior. I mean, I know this isn't nothing new. It came out before. But, that's what they're basically getting at. Okay, so Annette, Harry, Haley, Ricky, distant cousins to Harry and William. I don't know them. I don't know which. You got to tell me like who their last names are and which side of the family they're from, because I'm really curious. Okay, so anyhow, there's that. And then we have this, which is Meghan wants to, and I could kind of understand this. Go Family Guy. It's pretty funny. Meghan wants to kind of go it alone. I don't know what kind of material she's going to have now that they haven't even exhausted all of the tea that they can do with the royal family. Although what's interesting is that she was only with them for like 17 months. How much can she milk this? Seriously, how long? How long can she milk it? So I would think it would be wise to kind of be on your own. Honestly, even in a marriage, it's good for her to have her thing, him to have his thing. Except when he wants to go do his thing, she's like, wanting to be there at the last minute to, I don't know, whatever. I think he needs to do his thing. She needs to do her thing. And then they come together for dinner and take care of the kids. Don't you? Okay. Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike are all original New Edition members. Don't let me go, Alex. I have New Edition stories because I used to date the producer of New Edition. That's a little bit of trivia. You guys can figure out which producer. Okay, so that was out of left field, constipated in Sin City. Okay, now Harry has this charity out in Africa. And he has been the president, and now I think he became the chairman of the board. So let me read that because this is something, I think it might be in Botswana. Maybe it's not Botswana, but okay. He was elevated. The Duke of Sussex has been involved with the organization for years. This organization, and the Duke of Sussex has been appointed a member of the board of directors. Okay, you ready? For the African Parks Network South Africa. Prince Harry got involved with the nonprofit conservation group that manages national parks across the continent in 2016 and became president of the group the following year. The change was spotted in his biography for African parks, though it remains unclear exactly when he began to help them, the governing body. Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, is a humanitarian, military veteran, mental wellness advocate, and environmentalist, his bio page says. The Duke has dedicated his life work to advancing causes that he's passionate about, yada, yada, yada. So now they're making him, after serving 6 years as president, he was elevated to the officially appointed member of the board of directors, the governing body of the organization. So that's one of his new credits. Okay, let me read what Ebony is saying. Ari was a rebel in his youth. However, he looks so unhappy. I think she used his trauma of his mom's death against him because of what they said during the Oprah interview. Yeah, I mean, I say this almost every single time. I actually don't mind repeating it a lot because I'm perplexed. I agree. I think we liked him as the rebel, and I think we liked that aspect of him. And I think many of us, when we saw him coming to the United States, were like, okay, I get it. What's he going to do? Is he going to do something amazing? Is this going to be something fresh? And yeah, it's turned. It's like a bad song that keeps playing. And, you can use the trauma for strength and you can use it for weakness, right? And I think in this case, it's continually used as weakness, and it's becoming really sort of a bad show to watch, right? And I think the reason why we talk about it so much because we're disappointed. It's like we wanted both of them. I mean, I did. I wanted them to succeed. I didn't want it to be like, it could have been so great, even with the drama, by the way, of the royal family and them being just as dysfunctional as everybody else. But you don't have to make it, like Jerry Springer dysfunctional. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I tend to agree with you. And I think it's really hard. And I think she does use the trauma. I think he uses that trauma too. And he projects DEANNA so much into Meghan, and she receives it. So it's a little cray-cray, I think, Ebony, but I think that's a really great observation. Okay, now this is kind of a serious thing. Okay, so I'm going to read this because I'm not quite up on this, but King Charles is going to Kenya, right? And here's a big question. So we know that the royal family, I'm sorry, was very involved for centuries with the slave trade. I mean, the slave trade in the United States, the slave trade everywhere, basically started with the royal family. So a journalist who quit her job at the BBC in March demanded Monday that King Charles III issue an apology regarding his ancestors' involvement with the transatlantic slave trade. So that's a question right there. Do people need to apologize for their ancestors? Like, we all have some crappy people in our family, right? So personally, I think the answer is no. We don't need to apologize for our ancestors. But when we have a position, like a big position and let's call it an institution, maybe they do. You know what I'm saying? I don't think your average Joe necessarily needs to, but I think when it's an official position or whatever, maybe that would be warranted. I don't know. You guys tell me. You just constipated in Sin City. You just looked up things. Yeah. Okay. I would hope very much that in the coming years, he can apologize for the royal family's historic links to slavery and make a meaningful final gesture that would be seen as reparative. Laura Trevelyan told People. But what that figure is, I have no idea. She currently leads a group of British families looking to make amends for their relatives' involvement in the trade, donated $127,000 of her own savings to the government in Grenada in February after discovering her family had enslaved about 1,000 people in the Caribbean country. The longtime reporter is now asking Charles, who said in April that he would welcome an investigation into his family's ties in the slave trade. I don't even know if there's an investigation that needs to be done. We know. We don't need to investigate. We know that's there would be a great healing power to an apology for slavery and some kind of reparative justice strategy from the king. Like, I don't know. Honestly, I don't really know how this goes, because how long will it go? And then is everybody going to be connected with that? Because listen, I know for a fact, because I have 3 African children, that even their ancestors were involved in enslaving other Africans. Like, it's like, how far do you go? Like, because it's kind of, so I don't know. But I am saying that this is news as they head out to Africa. I mean, and it was so widespread, and there's so many sad cases of the royal family pillaging, historically, resources from these other places, and just treating people obviously like commodities, and being very late in the game, by the way, of totally, and like getting rid of certain rules to be able to carry slaves. So I don't know. Okay, so presumably there's a memo somewhere in Whitehall which says you can't apologize, because if you do, that opens up for liability. Charles is clearly doing as much as he possibly can as a constitutional monarch who can step ahead of the position in the government, the former political correspondent elaborated, but he is also the supreme governor of the Church of England, and the church has apologized for its historical links to slavery and set up £100 million fund. According to the writer, who now lives in New York City, an apology from the head of state is not just possible, but it's important to do. So I guess we'll just kind of see how all of this plays out. And yet there's still commonwealths everywhere that, yeah. So, okay, let me see what Kat has to say. If you're donating money to a cause to apologize for what your family did, that's your decision. If you want the world to know about it, it's nowhere near as endearing. Right. In other words, you're saying, this is what I think you're saying, Kat. And if I'm wrong, just fix it and I'll post it. In other words, yeah, do it, but you don't have to make it like an ad. Like, in other words, do it out of the generosity of your heart and make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. Is that what you're saying? And not because, okay, let me just say somebody's telling me to do this and now I'm going to do it. Like, honestly, it should have been done a long time ago. Right. So yeah, we'll see how that comes up. I mean, tonight's kind of like a wah, wah, wah. We don't really have a lot of huge, royal news here. But I did want to kind of, okay, so I was on track. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like, in other words, if you want to do that, then like, why isn't it something that is already thought of? I mean, and this comes back then to Harry and Meghan. I think a lot of us could understand why, like, in other words, the royal family is not perfect. They're far from perfect. They're far from perfect. They've been kind of a hot mess, right? So you can see in some ways why he would want to hold them to task. But there's so much, especially when you have this ancient family where all of your history is so well documented from like a million different angles. And by the way, Harry doesn't really even know much about his history. I know more than he knows about his family history. I'm not saying it to brag. It's just I'm more interested in it than he is. But yeah, you would think that, okay, why wouldn't that be kind of like certain things be common sense? A couple of the instances, and I can't remember exactly, that kind of get to me is getting back to, I think it's the Kohinoor diamond, the one that was, wait, is it the Kohinoor or the Cullinan? Anyhow, the one in India, both of them. There's one in South Africa, one in India that they use a lot in the jewels. The Cullinan was the big one, right? Well, they basically caused this child who lost his family to have to sign over the Cullinan diamond. And then they took the kid who was like the prince or the Maharaja over to London, you know, to live with somebody. And then the Queen Victoria was like, you're now my nephew, you know, or whatever. But the child was still, as an adult, he was still enslaved in a way. Yeah, he was treated well and had schools, but he was taken from his country and then also forced to kind of publicly forgive Queen Victoria and say, I forgive you, as if, okay, now you can keep this giant diamond that you stole from me under duress after my dad was murdered. And then, you know what I mean? There are things that are like, so like, if that was let's say that was my great grandfather. I mean, I think I don't know if he had children, but then I would be like, excuse me, like, what about my family? I was like the heir to a throne in India, and you basically cut that off. So anyhow, I can understand, you know, I don't know what the answer, but I'm just saying that there's so many different stories that are like, whoa. The price was called Dilip Singh. Okay. So maybe I need to research that. Is that what I'm talking about? The one with the diamond, or is it something else? So that was one case. That was just one case. So you have your heritage stripped. So there are people who were royals from ancient times that basically had their heritage slipped. I mean, think of America. Like, so it's definitely, Prince. Okay. Sorry. So yeah, Dilip Singh. So did you see when Harry and Meghan arrived late to Prince Albert Hall to applause? Meghan thought it was for her. Yes. She always thinks it's for her. She grabs the mic. It's getting comical now. It's getting pretty funny. Therefore, I can understand why she would probably want to like do her own thing and try something different. I mean, they keep pivoting. Do you guys think that there's a way for them to redeem themselves? I think they should do like what every music artist, my friend, my night in Las Vegas, and we talk about, you know, pop music a lot. They should do what pop singers or stars do often, where it's like, okay, I had my hit record and now I need to lay low before I can come back. They didn't really have their hit record. I mean, they made some money on the Netflix series and the other things, but they didn't really have the hit record, but they have been way too much in the public eye. Everybody knows that the press cycle, you're supposed to back off. Just go back, go write your books, go do your thing, go travel, like spend time with your family, come back with a new hairstyle, with a new wardrobe, with a new song, with a new album. And then maybe you'll have a new audience, right? They haven't done that. It's just relentless. It's just this relentless thing. So I do think that they need to back off and do the pop music thing, you know, that people had done for years. So, and then the only problem is they never really had their hit song. And so I don't know if they can come back after that. They may have to play in some small clubs. Okay. I think, oh, how funny. I'm going to get going on this. I know that it was sort of a not very exciting night for royal news, but I am trying to come in every single Monday night. I'm in a kind of a new spot. And we will talk again with some more exciting stuff next week. So guys, please do subscribe, hang out. They should do a reality show with their kids and family life. Yeah, but they will never even show. There's so much mystery about their children. Like I can respect not wanting your kid to have your kids like out in the limelight all the time, but like it's too much now. It's like anyhow, so I don't think that would ever happen. It would be interesting though. All right. I will talk to you later. Bye, guys. Have a great night. Bye.